Hi there, I'm Marc Pagani, and this is Tasting Tuesdays. Well, this is our third episode of Tasting Tuesdays. Welcome back. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so by clicking on this little logo right down here in the corner. Really appreciate that. Today we're going to be talking about Russell's Reserve Single Barrel Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. First time I had this was when they had a different label several years ago. I got it at a local store called Pearl, and I think it was a store pick. So it was a single barrel pick just for that store. And I remember it being really peanutty on both the nose and on the palate. So it's going to be interesting to see what it tastes like now. My palate's definitely changed over the years. So I'm looking forward to trying this out. These barrels are picked out by Eddie and Jimmy Russell at Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey is the distillery, forgot to mention that. And so let's talk about this bottle. Here's some more info. Now I get to use my smooth narrator voice. Russell's Reserve Single Barrel Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey is 110 proof. It won 2 silvers, 2 golds, and a double gold at the San Francisco Spirits competitions over the past few years. The barrels use a number 4 alligator char, and Wild Turkey uses a standard mash bill of 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley for all of their bourbons. This particular offering is comprised of some of the best single barrels the distillery has to offer, which are hand-selected by the company's father and son master distillers, Jimmy and Eddie Russell. They're selected from the center cut of the rickhouse, since apparently that's where the optimal maturation occurs. Though it does not have an age statement, most barrels are rumored to be between 8 and 9 years old. Didn't Liam Neeson do a great job narrating that info? I thought he really did. All right, so now you know what time it is. It's time for whiskey porn. Bow, chicka, bow, bow. Boo-doo, bow, chicka, bow, bow. Bow, chicka, bow, bow. Bow, 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 chicka, bow, bow. Yeah. All right, now it's time to taste. First, we're going to check out the nose. It's got a pretty rich nose. It reminds me of creme brulee, like a caramelized sugar. And there's definitely a good amount of oak in there too. So imagine like taking the top of a creme brulee and putting it on oak and taking a whiff of that. I think you'd have it nailed. So I would suggest you go out and do that. Go to your favorite French restaurant, whip off the top of the creme brulee, take it out in the forest, put it on some oak, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Tiny, tiny, tiny bit of dill pickle. Definitely not getting any of the peanut that I got, years ago from this whiskey. Now it's time to taste it. It's got some richness, still more of that caramel. It's surprising that it's not higher rye because it has a nice spice to it. I think, due to the alcohol content, it is 110 proof. It's definitely got a bite to it, and it's verging. It's not there, but it's verging on the edge of being kind of all bite and no flavor. But it has some flavor there. I just wish that it had less bite. And I'm getting that tiny bit of dill pickle at the very, very finish. The finish is mouth coating, a little bit of sharpness in the back of my throat. Again, you got that bite from the 110 proof. Overall, it's a good whiskey. It's a good bourbon. If you like spicy bourbons, it's surprising that it is spicy because it is relatively low rye. It doesn't have a ton of sweetness. It's got a little bit of spice, and it's got that bite. I did try this a few days ago with 1 cube of ice, and it definitely calmed down the bite a little bit, and it made the entire experience a little bit richer in the mouth. So you might want to try that if you're finding that it has too much bite, as I am right now. So I would definitely say this is one of those that you have to try for yourself. It's not my absolute favorite single barrel bourbon that I own, but it is interesting and it might be just perfect for you. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week. And one more thing, I almost forgot, my director, who is also my dog, Stevie, reminded me that I forgot to mention that you should subscribe right there. Click on that thing. Okay, so now have a good week. I just did that. The thing that the bartender used to do on the Love Boat, Ted Lang. Why do I know that's his name? He used to do that. So anyway, sorry for doing that.